Yeah, here we go. It's Turbo Tuesday. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Tonk7's TMI. I am your host, Tonk7. Thank you for joining me tonight. I see everybody already in the comments just ready to go. You know, it's like the music before the music. And, it's like with the little piano and stuff. I be dancing, man. I be dancing. Like, if you catch me and Capitan when we were in middle school, we'd be breaking it down and that music down. Anyways, how you doing? Thanks for joining me tonight. I got my man Culler commentary. He's here. You just can't see him, so he's like the magic person in the hidden camera room.
I'm ghosting everybody tonight.
And then,
by the way, real quick,
course,
was that like break down dancing? Was that like you were breaking back then? Is that what you were all doing?
Yeah,
spinning on your heads.
We were anytime a car would drive by, whatever it was playing, we'd start dancing to it, man. Every time.
You throw down the slick and start spinning on your back.
Busting some moves. Me and Capitan used to break it down at Atlanta Skateway too.
So listen, he's really actually talking about one in particular moment, and I know exactly what moment he's talking about. We're on vacation out at my grandparents, and they lived over by where I live now, out in LaBelle. They had a farm and a ranch, and we're like, I don't know, we're digging or some shit. I forget what we were doing. He had us doing some kind of chores or something like that. And this car comes zooming by. Now on this street, it's like 10 miles long. It's way longer than that. It's like 30 miles long. But you can hear a car coming from like 2 miles away. And we heard the music coming, and it was like this new age 1990s techno. But it literally just sounded like a laser gun fight. And him and I both looked at each other, started laughing and dancing, shooting lasers at each other. I'll never forget that, bro. I know exactly that's what you're saying.
Like,
yeah, bro. It was hilarious. Two dumbass kids in the freaking doing chores. I remember that, bro. I remember.
Yeah. So Welcome to the show. Thanks for everybody who's in the comments. Yes, I am out here in Seattle. It's almost summertime. It gets summertime July 5th is when summer starts in Seattle. It starts a little bit earlier in Portland because Portland is more south. It's like sunny Portland right now compared to Seattle. But anyways, so we always got shows coming on. Capitan's always doing his thing throughout the week, but we got to start the week off right with your boy Tonk7 TMI Tuesdays. We're starting at different times and slots and stuff right now between 9 and 10 East Coast. We're all a little busy, and sometimes you just can't get to it at the same time every week. But between 9 and 10 every Tuesday, and then we got color commentary 10 p.m. on Thursdays. Open discussion forum type show. My man Culler. And then our new podcaster Ali at Late Night Exhale, Saturdays at 10 p.m. Sometimes he's got Capitan on there. Sometimes he got Culler. Sometimes I'd be on there too, and just keep holding it down. And then we got Capitan doing his thing throughout the week: Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. He's following the Dolphins. He's keeping up with the news. He's reporting it to us. He's keeping us involved with the details. And we're still fans of, still partners with Fanatics. The link below, you can find the links for our gear, for Fanatics gear. I should have grabbed my hat, but we got a new flag now. I haven't looked to see if it's available for purchase, but I think it is. I want to get that flag soon. Maybe get me another hat. But we got sandals, we got sweaters, tank tops, and so if you want to, keep it original. You know what I mean? Like that's the hat I got right there. It's a pretty nice hat. I got a whole bunch of hats, so I'll wear it periodically. But it's nice hat. They got trucker style. They got kind of regular style. So I like kind of like the trucker style, like this, like a new era kind of hat. And thank you for being here tonight. I don't know if you guys have noticed, we had a little bit later than usual start, later and later, because I got a new camera. I hope it looks good. I just got it set up. Literally, I was trying to figure it all out, like while we were in the background talking, and so it just took me a minute to go through all the steps to do that, because I'm only about this much computer savvy, but I guess I'm enough to make it work. And so what's up, Culler? Where you at, man?
What's up, man? I'm right here, man. I'm right here. Somebody's saying in the chat that the Marlins are tied with the Mets 8-8 late in the game. And I also wanted to add that Miles Michaelis from the St. Louis Cardinals has a no-hitter going into the bottom of the 8th right now against the Pirates.
And that's interesting you say that, because the Braves are also on like an 11 or 12 game win streak, and they're not even caught, and they're still debating if the Mets are better than the Braves, even though the Braves are the reigning champs. So for the Marlins to be keeping it down with the Mets, and the Marlins got history, they got relatively new, recent championships. So the Marlins been holding it down. I think that change from Florida Marlins to Miami Marlins kind of shook everything up a little bit, but hopefully we'll see them back to their championship form and be out there winning.
One of these days.
Yeah.
Well, you know how baseball is. Baseball is like one of these days you'll see it.
Yeah. But shout outs to Atlanta. I was born in Georgia, so I got Florida, Georgia born, Florida raised, and now I live in Seattle. So kind of all over the place. So I got teams I root for all over the place. But to see the Marlins and the Braves really going at it, I like that. And the Mets,
a man well traveled and shit.
Yeah, I know. I just sent out for my grandfather's passport, so as soon as we get it, me and him, I'm going to take it to Canada. Kind of excited about that, especially now that it's getting warm up there.
What? We got we got a ton of fans up in Canada. You might be able to link up with some of them. Oh yeah, bro. Most is up in Canada.
What?
Yeah, Most is up there. So is Jordan. Jordan's up there. A lot of these guys are up there. We have a big following in Canada. So depending on where you're going, you might be able to let me know, or I'll have the show and host the show, and you can hop on kind of like Culler is, if that's how you got to do it. And maybe you can meet up with a couple of people out somewhere, and maybe they can point you in the direction of some cool shit you want to see. I'm telling you, man, the fan base is broad and wide.
So couple things. So I will be going to British Columbia, Vancouver, and Victoria Island, and then I want to try to go to Toronto later this year or next year. I want to fly to Detroit, rent a car going to Toronto, and then
Get
fly
across
out
the border, doing
Yeah, dude,
things.
it's dope.
Better not be doing nothing illegal, boy. Wow, right
Dude,
over
I
the
don't need
border.
to. Everything's legal. It's legal in Canada. I don't need to do nothing illegal where it's legal.
Just busting your chops.
Go to Canada. It's just crazy in other countries, man. It's just legal. And yeah, so that's my adventurous aspirations, we could call it. But thanks to everybody that's already in the comments. I love y'all for being here with us. And I'm looking forward to the topics I got for tonight. I don't have as many as usual. I've been very busy, just staying busy with my career. And then I had to mess around with this brand new camera for you guys. This is for you guys. So this nice camera, that's all for you. This microphone, actually, I recorded my first album on this microphone, so it's old school, but the camera new. Camera brand new. So let's start it off. See where we going tonight. So the PGA Tour, and the reason why I chose this topic was because they made those. They shut out Phil Mickelson, and maybe one or two other golfers from the PGA Tour because they're playing in the Saudi Golf League. And I kind of like that decision for them to do that kind of reminds me of me when it comes to like music, like listening to like if someone makes a song with an artist that I don't respect or I won't listen to them. And like if someone makes a song with Chris Brown, I don't really want to hear that song and I don't really want to hear anything else from them because of how I feel about that person. So it's a hard stand to take when you feel some way about something and you make a stand against it and you do what you can to stand up for what you believe in and not support certain things. For them to go this far to, I don't know if they banned Phil Mickelson from playing back in the PGA, but to disqualify him from playing because they're playing in the Saudi Golf League and then how they feel about the Saudi Golf League, that's a huge stand to take. And I mean, that's just, I don't know. I've never seen anything like this in sports to where they ban somebody because, and I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but I've just never seen this before. And so I just wanted to talk about it and just, I don't know. It's just crazy. I mean, what do you think about that, Culler?
I mean, it's hard to really know. I don't really follow PGA too much, but, it is what it is as far as that goes.
Do you think, so with how the PGA feels about the Saudi Golf League, do you think that decision they made to ban Phil Mickelson, do you think that was a good or bad? Would you have done something like that?
So the Saudi league basically banned their tour banned Phil Mickelson?
No, so Phil Mickelson
for the PGA
played for the PGA.
So the PGA won't let Phil Mickelson back in because he's playing in the Saudi League Tour. I see what you're saying. Listen, to me, that's hypocritical in some ways, because you got to understand this guy.
But is it because of his license? Is it because of licensing, or is that the issue we're talking about?
Well, it's because of the government.
I get that there's an ideology thing,
and how they treat their citizens,
right,
women and men and stuff like that. And
see, that's where it's interesting to me, is that I would have assumed all those millionaire and billionaire golf players were all cool with the Saudis. I didn't realize that there was that animosity.
That's what I mean by hypocritical. Honestly, that's what I meant by hypocritical. Like, it's the pot calling the kettle black over here. You know, it's just bullshit. I mean, let's get real, you fucking elites with your golf trying to ban people when you know damn good well you're all doing business with each other.
Well, exactly my point. Like our United States does business with the Middle East.
Well, that's one of those, you know what, then
oil,
that seems to me. Yeah, it seems to me it's one of those cases where a bunch of rich guys are like, "Ooh, here's our chance to make ourselves look good." You know what I mean? On the backs of a lesser millionaire.
Well, like I haven't looked too much into it. Have they ever done anything with the Middle East over there? It's just
no.
It's just like I've never seen a stand like this.
But I'm pretty sure. But I mean,
really.
I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of that Saudi money involved in the PGA. Is all I'm saying. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's because I mean they literally banned Jack Nicholson from playing in the PGA.
I mean, here's another thing. How many of our star golf players in the PGA? How many of them have bought islands over there? Or, you know, whatever, you know what I mean? I'm speaking about places like Dubai, but I mean, even in Saudi, they you know, they've got lots of things to be had over there for rich people. You know what I mean? And are they going through and banning everybody that's got any ties? I mean, all he's doing is playing a sport he loves.
So Phil Mickelson was warned that he would get banned if he did go play over there, and they banned him. And he's, you know, he probably has mixed feelings about it because the interview where, you know, just looking at his face, you could tell that he's got mixed feelings about it. It's just, I've just never seen something like this happen in sports. Not yet anyways. And now it's like happening. It's just, to me, it's very interesting. And to see, because I don't know how much the PGA has dealt with other nations or other players. So for them to make a stand like this, maybe they have never dealt with companies or players or organizations from the Middle East or Saudi Arabia or Dubai. But it's just like, wow, like it's I don't know.
I think I think there's a deeper issue involved. And whenever you look at fights between billionaires and millionaires, you always look towards what it's about. It's about the money. They're upset because he's making money for them right now.
How is that going to make changes in money if he goes and plays there and then just comes back and plays? Because I know there was a PGA tournament this past weekend.
Well, they see it because they see him as their commodity. So if there's any money being made off his image, they want some of it. It's greed. It's complete greed. You know.
I mean, from what they say,
So in other words, when he's done playing there and it's time to go back on the PGA tour, there's still going to be Phil Mickelson action figures sold over there that they're not making any money off of. You know what I mean? I know I'm being stupid, and they're not going to be no Phil Mickelson action figures, but I'm trying to just point out.
Though. I mean, I've never seen an action figure of a golfer before, but it doesn't mean they won't have like T-shirts.
No, but I mean just licensing in general.
Golf clubs.
Right.
I mean, maybe they want to have a set of golf clubs, you know, in Dubai, or you know, or if he endorses
with his name on it, with his little cursive signature on it, right.
Or a store, you know, has like a billboard or a cardboard cutout of Phil Mickelson.
Right. So are they banning him because he's breaking their licensing rules, or are they banning him because of ideological issues?
They disagree with the politics in those countries.
Yeah.
And I think specifically how women are treated over there. And I'm not trying to be judgmental. I'm just saying this is what they're reporting is that. And so they're like, look, if you're going to go play over there, you're not allowed to be part of our organization anymore. And so he chose to go play over there. So I don't know how much more he would make over there or what would be better, or if he just wanted to go play in other countries. But this is just, it's kind of shocking to me because I've never seen a sports league take stands like this, besides like stuff going on in Russia and Ukraine. But that's kind of that's expected when you have, situations like Ukraine and Russia. But this, I mean, politics have been going on for hundreds of years over there. So for them to make a stand now, is it just about politics? Is it about other things? I believe them and what they say, that it is about the politics and not just money. Because, I guess name, image, and likeness, but they still got superstars. I don't think any of the superstars are as big as Phil Mickelson. I think he's the biggest, with him and Tiger Woods. I don't think there's two bigger golfers on the planet than Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. So regardless of who is higher than who as far popularity or money or whatever, they're basically the same entity as far as what I'm comparing them to situations. And maybe he is getting paid more. I'm not sure, but that's just I've never seen a stand like this before in sports, and it's
that's what
we'll
makes
see
you
how it
wonder
rolls
what it's
out.
really about.
If I don't know if any, if anyone is going to investigate the PGA to see if they've ever done business with countries over there or organizations over there. I don't know how much of that would be public news. I'm not sure, but. To make a stand like that, you better not hope that you're going to end up looking like a hypocrite. It says, so Moss said Tiger turned down a good $1 billion to not play over there. Moss, is he that to not play over there? Is that what he that's crazy. Look at that. $1 billion to not go play. But if you disagree with what goes on that much.
Something tells me I could do more good with the $1 billion in my hands than saying no to the money. Just being real. Capitalist.
Exactly.
That's the capitalist in me. Give me the $1 billion. I'll worry about the moral code with the money later.
Okay, yeah. Well, exactly. There's a lot going on with this. That's why I wanted to bring it on.
Yeah, but nobody reads Sun Tzu anymore. Yeah.
Not only that, not for nothing. You don't change things by not changing them. If there's a disagreement in culture, staying away from them and not giving them any of our culture doesn't help. So having guys like Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods and celebrities and things like that, they're aware of how Americans live and social media and everything like that. The cultures will blend slowly if we blend them slowly. Doing nothing is exactly that. You've done nothing. You could say you could disagree with each other all the time, but that's just us disagreeing. You find common grounds by actually being in the same place and just being respectful and slowly realizing things, and then that's how things move on. That's just, look,
rejecting it
only foments it.
Exactly, because now they're gonna be vindicated as, hey, we must be doing something right.
When you're talking about radicalism, that's how radicalism is definitely vindicated every time.
Exactly.
Every time.
We must be right if we must be right if they see fit to stay away. We must be right. We must be doing something right.
I'm not sure exactly how much business we do with the Middle East as far as trade, like oil or products or anything like that. But is there like the PGA are they wholly 100% neutral of anything that has to do with the Middle East?
How could they?
Apparently not. Apparently not. So, and I get it. They have sponsors that they have to appease who don't want to be tied in or with things. But capitalists, don't take your high ground with me, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being real about it. When you're talking about money, dollars, and cents, don't take your high ground, because really, I bet you pull back those layers and all it is about them getting a bigger cut. That's all. It's about them making money. And that's all it is. You take it outside of a nation that's part of the PGA, then you want to.
You're nailing it, bro. And
bro.
And these billionaires are petty. They are petty. Even though we know that Saudi Arabia making money,
whether it's a real issue that we can all get behind or bullshit, they'll use it.
Well, Tonk made a good point. Why should they care? Because there's plenty of money to go around. Well, yeah, but that's how billionaires operate. They think it's all mine. That's what they became. That's how they became billionaires. they don't want to let another person have the money. Like if they, like I said,
first, I'll then dole it out as I see
complete
fit.
right. It's complete bravado. They're saying, Mickelson, you can't come play for us anymore because now you done made our opponent money.
That's it. That's it. So
it's petty.
Nicholson, in
petty
one way or
bullshit.
another, whether the PGA wants to admit this or not, is opening the door and potentially moving, progress forward by standing his ground.
Exactly. And as Cap said,
anyone
as El
follows.
Capitan pointed out, don't feed right into their claim that we're a bunch of xenophobes. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, we can't handle one of our guys playing in Saudi Arabia. You know what I mean? How weak does that make us look?
Not only that, don't act like all those guys aren't over in Saudi Arabia or Dubai or wherever
Exactly.
they're going.
Where the hell do they think these guys play golf in the winter? You know?
Dude. Come on, man. Don't fucking piss down my
Besides
back.
Florida.
The hypocrisy is too much. It's too much for one man that sees things too clearly, I'll be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll see how it all unfolds and see how long this goes.
The golf is nice in Arizona in the winter too, but there ain't no $1 billion hotel and amenities to go along with it, like there is in Saudi Arabia.
So what we got next? Oh, okay. Whew. Got some hot topics for tonight. So
quick,
Jack Del Rio.
I'm sorry to interrupt if you don't mind, but I just want to give a quick update. Michaelis blew the no-hitter on the last batter of the game.
No,
1 hit. They pulled. They pulled it.
Should have told me to whatchamacallit, friggin' hit the.
He plays on the Marlins.
Breaking news.
Right.
Oh,
but I haven't got the news on the Marlins yet. There's somebody else updating that in chat, so I don't want to step on toes, but they'll get it. Go ahead, bro.
Oh, and I was just reading what Moss was saying.
Let's see what's going on.
There's a lot. There's just there's so many things going behind this, with PGA and Saudi Golf League and organizations and stuff. It's just interesting to see this happen in sports. I don't necessarily have a problem with it, and that's why I wanted to talk about it and just get other people's feedback on it. Because if that's what you believe, that's what you believe.
Go into the detail of the thing just to touch people on it.
What?
To what you're referencing. What were you talking about?
I was just finishing up on Jack Nicholson.
Oh, I thought you were talking about. Okay.
So, Jack Del Rio, he was one of the coaches, coordinators, or one of the coaches on the Commanders Washington football team. And he had a couple of things to say about the kind of the riots that happened after George Floyd died, and then also about the insurrection on January 6th. And I've seen this a lot with people. I've seen a lot of the same people who hate what happens when police shoot citizens unarmed, or how they, when a citizen gets killed that is, isn't armed or anything like that. And the riots that follow that compared to the riots and stuff that happened on January 6th. He was basically saying that January 6th wasn't anything terrible, even though people died, and that rioting after police brutality is unacceptable. And I've seen that a lot with people. I don't know how you could say one is worse than the other when they're
because he didn't say that. That's actually the crux of the matter. He did not say that one was worse than the other. He did not say that.
Well,
that was projection on the part of social media.
But I've seen others say that.
Well, maybe. Well, maybe, but they're not the ones getting besmirched in the media and getting fined $100,000.
Because I mean, if a cop shoots somebody, regardless of what's happening, I don't agree with burning down buildings. You know,
but
no,
what? But what?
I'm not.
Let's forget about the burning down buildings. How about the attack on the Supreme Court building?
I think that was 100%.
A couple years ago.
I think that was 100%.
But was that an insurrection? Was that an insurrection? That was an attack on a federal building. Was that an insurrection? Did we make a bit? Did we have congressional hearings about it for 6 months?
What are you talking about? I don't know which one you're talking about.
Well, there you go. Nobody does, because that's precisely what he was talking about. That's precisely what he meant. So he wasn't trying to tear down the significance of the attack on January 6th. He wasn't trying.
What was he talking about?
Again, if only we knew. But like I said, I mean, that's up to. Hey, wait, Tonk. That's up to the media to tell you that. That's up to the media to tell you that, instead of lying by omission and leaving it out.
Wrote, I made comments earlier today referencing the attack that took place in the United States Capitol on January 6th. That's what he wrote.
Yeah. That's not what you said that he said. You said that he compared one to the other, that one was worse than the other.
I said I seen people compare the two.
Right. Well, he didn't.
But that was a comparison.
He's the one answering for it.
That's the thing, though, Culler. He's talking about what Jack Del Rio's having to be accounted for, whether he's guilty of it or not.
I get it. I get it. That's where my frustration is at.
So I have a problem with both of those. I don't agree to burn down buildings for any reason. I mean, I'd rather see it. A school shooting happens, we don't do fucking nothing. A school shooting happens, we don't do nothing.
No, we plant a sign telling more people to come.
A cop kills somebody, and now buildings are burned down. Or someone believes that Trump didn't lose, so they attacked the Capitol. But then our schools are getting shot up in crickets. So it's
but you forget that an entire mob took over a university for 6 months because Trump got elected. No, you don't know about that either, do you? Nope. That happened in your neck of the woods.
Well, I went to
Evergreen College in where? Washington.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that is, but I went to the Chaz zone.
There's a 22. Zone? Oh yeah, take over an entire town and call it not part of the United States anymore.
I went there.
That's perfectly acceptable. Perfectly acceptable behavior.
That's the more liberal state. You know, like you.
I don't give a shit where it's at.
Florida.
I don't give a shit where it's at. It's been considered, but now it's considered perfectly acceptable behavior. That's the point Jack Del Rio was trying to make.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe he shouldn't have made it. Maybe he shouldn't have used his capacity as a coach in the NFL to make it. I agree there. Okay.
The reason why I wanted to bring this up is because
I knew I was going to get myself in trouble.
And more and more.
I didn't even want to talk about this issue.
But we're starting to lose because of, regardless of why, freedom of speech is starting to become a thing of the past. To where, you know, if you say something in agreement or you know, in acceptance that you could get in a lot of trouble, you could lose funding, you could lose ownership, you can lose a lot of things just by what you say. And how much farther is this going to go to where people, because maybe he was uneducated about those two specific situations. Maybe he didn't know that much. He just spoke about it. In the context, when did he talk about it? Was it like, you know, was it someone specifically with a microphone in his face asking him a question, or did he just talk about it?
That's another good question. You know, it's not, you know, people forget that there's.
It's the context of this stuff, and it's how
but ultimately, he is not in control of. In other words, he represents an organization, and that organization didn't want to be represented that way, and that's fine. So they fined him. I get all that. But to act like this guy is the new Satan and the new, you know, like, oh my God, what he did, what he said, oh, that's like denying 9/11. Come on. You know, I'm just tired of that nonsense. I'm really tired of it. I'm tired of the repressive tolerance. I'm tired of one side deciding that their cause is righteous, so they can do whatever the hell they want, and we're supposed to accept it because that's the cause of liberty. Bullshit. I'm calling it out right now. Both sides need to stop the bullshit, stop the violence, and adhere to the Constitution. And if you don't, then you got problems with me as a voter.
So, well, I just want to see, like, because I brought this up because
I don't think that's what he's talking about, Culler.
But at the same time, like, did he say this when he was in a Commander's, shirt? Like, did it have the team?
I don't even think anybody knows anymore,
on his shirt. Like, did he say it as a? I mean, yeah, he is employed by them.
I get what you're asking. I get what you're asking. Did he go out there and offer the information, or did somebody put out a gotcha question to him? I see what you're asking, and at this point, I think we've all forgotten. To be honest with you,
yeah, it's just there's so many, there's comments like this. There's a lot, there's stuff behind it. There's either what you believe in or what you're confused about or what you're wearing, I guess, or who you're representing at the time. Just because someone works for some place doesn't mean they represent them with everything they think of and see. Yeah, he goes there and works during the week, but when he gets off work on a Saturday, if he's out shopping and he gets an argument with somebody, that's Jack Del Rio arguing with him, not an employee of the Commanders. So it's, when did he say these things? And it would be a good time to get educated on them because these topics, are very important. And we have a lot of, division in our country, in our communities.
Well, for me personally, Tonk, I didn't even bother to go look how it was presented because the everybody presented it a certain way, and all the platitudes got put out there so quickly that I just don't even bother anymore. Like, I'm so at the point where it's like I'm just exhausted of even talking about this stuff anymore.
Yeah,
because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which side you're on. The other side has closed their ears. So it really doesn't even matter what we talk about and how we talk about it because, everybody closes their ears.
Yeah, there's it's a very touchy subject, but
like I'll just put my hands over my ears and forget that the Supreme Court was attacked, and the White House and all the sit-ins at the rotunda that we've had over the years and all this other. We'll just forget about all that stuff because they were the right side. They were the correct side. No, I'm tired of it. What happened on January 6th happened several times in other ways throughout the last 10 to 20 years, and we've done and said nothing about it until it became the political side of the aisle that 51% of this country don't believe in. That's when it changed. That's when the word insurrection got thrown out there. That's when the platitudes start. And
yeah, gas was not under $2 a gallon before the insurrection. Gas hasn't been under $2 a gallon since I was a senior in high school. 2004, I filled up my gas tank at a Hess gas station at Kirk and Forest Hill for $2 a gallon. So gas will never go down. It's always going to go up. It'll fluctuate, but it's always going to keep going up because it's a resource that is becoming depleted.
Well, we all see how the media works. We've all witnessed it with the Dolphins and what's gone on in the last 6 months and how the media is operated. Yet we ignore that might be operating the same way with their own interests in the political world. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason that most people don't know about all this other stuff that the other side is just as culpable for. Well, and we can throw around the word insurrection. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why it's good.
But who controls the narrative, Tom? But who controls the narrative?
Well, you just got to get your news from a lot of different sources.
But they're all together. They're all the same. They're all spitting out the same word that doesn't apply. So how are you supposed to fight those platitudes?
Well, then what can we say about me and you?
Well, you and I can talk.
We are broadcasters, and we are talking about this stuff.
Ground level of the truth, son.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The reason I don't. Here's the thing, Tonk. The reason I shifted from sitting in chats arguing politics with people to sitting in chats in the Dolphins community arguing football with people is because there is no traction. If you speak the things I'm speaking right now in the political realm as a broadcaster, you will be shut down. Period. You will have to start your own venture, put your own money behind it, and that's the only way to fight it. And let's face it, most of us don't have that capability.
Well, or you sell out.
Not all of us are
in,
right. Not
honestly.
all of us are Glenn Beck and can start a whole network to fight them. Not all of us are Tim Pool. You know what I mean?
No, well, I mean, I'm just saying it's just part of
so
society.
I didn't bother. I figured,
I mean, if
I want to do something as a broadcaster on YouTube, I figured I'm going to do something that isn't going to be affected by those types of things.
No,
and lo and behold, what do I find when we start talking about Tua? Oh my! It's like deja vu.
Yeah, because he's like the politics.
There's a specific reason for that, Tonk. There's a specific reason to that, but I don't want to get into that in this forum. You know what I mean? We'll talk. You and I will talk privately about that one day.
I just wanted to, because I mean, like I said, the questions I asked, when was he asked, and stuff like that. It's just, there's a lot of things that got to be considered before you make judgments against people and what they say.
I know.
I'm
definitely getting judged on what I've said. That's why I'm saying I done screwed the boots tonight.
I really try to bring neutrality, and I try to bring people together on topics. Closer to each other to working more together on topics. And the more educated you are, the more, you talk about it, the more you understand, the more you learn. And that helps in everything in life.
I just can't even believe that I was actually able to say what I just said and it be actually plausible in the United States of America. That it's like, do this, and that, and you will be shut down. Like, really?
I mean, definitely know now.
And people think we're being hyperbolic when we say we've turned into China. You're like, really? That's hyperbolic?
Shit, I mean, with the way people get shut down with what they say nowadays.
I encourage everybody to go rewatch the old version, the original version of The Stand, the 6-hour-long miniseries from Stephen King, The Stand. And look what they did when the virus.
That's what my dad says all the time. He's like, "This shit's The Stand, bro."
Oh, bro, how about the part where the radio show host that played by Kathy Bates when they sent in the military to shut her down, and like you could hear them shoot her on air. You know what I mean? Because of this virus that was spreading around. You know what I mean?
It's well, I mean, we just. I don't know. We just
Well, I mean, I hate to say it too. In some instances, you also got to think about maintaining panic, because there's also another truth that nothing is more dangerous than people just afraid and thinking about their survival
with an idea, right?
well, nothing's more dangerous than one man with an idea. That's words to live by, everybody.
Except a group of people with an idea.
Well, a group of people in fear that there's nothing stopping that. So
right.
And that spreads like any disease.
And the funny thing is, like, the guy that wrote the story is complete anti-gun. Like, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah, it's
Stephen King's like a staunch.
Well, I mean,
gun control supporter.
Politics are going to affect everything. It's gonna affect everything.
I would venture to say he's got guns.
That's why.
Oh, I know. That's the hypocrisy.
Is in the news. That's why Jack Del Rio is in the news. Because these are political stands. And all right.
Anyway,
let's just get back.
We got through that, bro.
Let's get back to pure sports.
Hey, I'm real glad you brought it up. We had to do it. I just didn't want to, but I'm glad we got through it. Bro.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. I just want to get people's feedback.
I do appreciate you bringing that up, bro. Even though I'm fragile on it. You know, I'm fragile to talk about it. You know what I mean?
I have very, very strong opinions and stuff too, but I try to be very neutral. Broadcasting. I try to pull everybody closer together.
Well, I mean, I got enough platitudes about football, about our team going around about me. You know?
and may even play devil's advocate.
Well, you do that well.
I'd like to get people's natural reactions. If I'm just standing up here preaching and saying a whole bunch of stuff, I'm not going to get that. I want to get.
Well, that's why I try not to keep myself too familiarized with what you're going to be talking about, because I want you to have that natural reaction.
I actually gave a speech there, and I killed it. Everybody loved what I was saying, and this was a very high intense place there with a lot of emotion, and I did incredible.
And by the way, I want to point out that you're looking at the guy to my left, to your right, okay, and him and I can still talk like normal people and have a friendship. Yet he spoke at Chaz.
Yeah, but I didn't. Yeah, but I spoke
But here's the thing, Tonk. I'm one of those guys that thinks that thing should have been shut down by the federal government.
Yeah. I mean, I would have went there regardless.
You see what I'm saying, though? But you and I can still come together as friends, have normal conversations without deciding that we're gonna alienate each other.
When I went there, was not in support of Chaz. I just
I get it. I get it.
But
I get it. But the difference between you and me is that if I show up there, there's bigger stuff going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Like, I don't have any intention. I don't have any intention of legitimizing anything that place does by speaking in front of them.
But here's a good point about going to that Chaz zone and then going to the protests in Portland, because you see it on TV, right? But I got to go there in person and see this stuff in person without anybody reporting nothing to me. I saw it in person.
I get it.
And
that's why I can't take that perspective away from you.
Yeah, it was. You know what I mean? Dope. It was pretty dope to see it and embrace and learn while I was there, because it was a lot. It was a lot.
I mean, I've been to punk festivals too. They're fun.
So what we got next?
I don't know. Captain's stunned back there. He's like, "What the fuck did we just talk about?"
I got a lot of emotion going on in the comments, and I thank you everybody for commenting. And
NBA Finals. Oh,
we're here to learn. We're here to learn. Dude, the NBA Finals are so kick-ass.
Something about 5 people care about in chat after the Heat got eliminated.
The Finals are so badass this year, man. It's
I'm kidding.
Last night, there was a couple records that ended. Well, like happening records. The Celtics, because the Celtics and the Golden State in the playoffs, every time they lost the game, they won the very next game. And Steph Curry had a streak of getting at least 1 3-point per game, 3-point shot per game, and that streak ended last night, and the streak for the Celtics ended. And it's I don't know, I just love basketball, and it's just so much talent going on, and then everything with Draymond Green, and then just the history of the Celtics. It's just that team is just, there's just so much history there of being champions and just being really, really good at basketball. I mean, that head coach, this is his first year as a head coach, and he brought them all the way to the finals. That team reminds me a lot of Golden State, because the Celtics had a team that was built to win, and then they handed it off to a different coach, and now they're in the finals. The same thing happened with Golden State. That team was built to win. They give it to a new head coach, Steve Kerr, and they win. So it's and like, I don't know, there's something about these, and Golden State has a history of winning too. And it's just, I love seeing that in sports. It's kind of when it's in like with the Tampa Bay Lightning right now. If they win, that's a dynasty, and they have a history winning. They won in 2004. And so we're seeing these teams that have history of winning, and they're still winning. And it's just it's I like to see it, and it's interesting to watch and pay attention, especially paying attention, for years now. I started paying it. Me and Capitan used to be real big in sports when we were younger, baseball cards, football cards, stuff like that. And then we kind of, had our high school years and stuff like that. But once I came back to sports, started paying attention to it again. It's a lot. It's a learning curve. It's a huge learning curve. And it, learning about this and the history of these teams, and you see them come back and keep winning. It's fascinating to me, and I really enjoy it. I'm not even really a fan of Golden State, but I just like what they're doing, and just Steve Kerr is just a freaking man. And I don't know, it looks like Steph Curry might be a little injured. He doesn't really look the same. So I hope that he can get healed up and, not have to, if he
is it on his shooting arm? Isn't that all he needs?
I
is his
think it's
shooting
like
arm,
his
right?
legs, because a couple games ago, a player fell on his leg, and now he's wearing but that was like his ankle, but now he's wearing a knee brace. And I mean, it's just a lot. It's so taxing on players to go that far into the season. That's a lot of games, and it's so taxing. And they just put so much on their shoulders. Like Steph Curry had an off night, like a mother effer, and then Andrew Wiggins stepped up. They have players that'll step up, and it's the same Andrew Wiggins that LeBron chained out of freaking Cleveland. LeBron got Wiggins out of Cleveland when he went to Cleveland. He said, yo, you got to go. And I think Wiggins was like top 10 pick. I don't know if he was the first pick in the draft, but he was up there. And LeBron said, get the heck out of here. Maybe, imagine if he would have kept Wiggins, maybe he would have won more championships with Cleveland. You know what I mean? So like I didn't really recognize that Wiggins was on the Golden State until they were in the playoffs. And I was like, oh shit, Andrew Wiggins. Because I kind of watched that happen when LeBron James basically got him kicked out of Cleveland.
Right.
Do you watch?
Wiggins has been there a while.
Do you watch basketball, Culler?
Not regularly, but when I started getting into more daily fantasy sports, I found myself following them over their seasons over the past couple years, just because it kind of, I got to know who's doing what when, and so I did actually start to follow it. I look forward to getting back into that, but not as like a fan per se, although I do like the playoff action, because I'm just, again, it's these sports that have such long seasons. It's like when your team is out of it, a quarter of the way through the season, it's like, are you kidding me? I mean, that sport has to have some kind of appeal to people. I tell you, you basketball fans and baseball diehards, I mean, you got it, man. Like, whatever you understand about that sport, I'll give you credit, because it must make it interesting. Because I just can't find it. You know what I mean? It's nothing to knock the sport.
I used to play baseball, so I kind of got that when it comes to like watching it. But going to games is a lot more fun than actually watching on TV. And during the season, you should go to a Heat game.
I mean, I'm sure.
You could probably
Don't
get
get me
cheap
wrong.
tickets, and even nosebleed sections.
Well, most of the other sports that I've found myself getting a liking for over the years are precisely because I went and saw them live. You know what I mean? Baseball is a big one, because baseball is really cool. Like when you're at a baseball game and somebody hits a home run, that entire stadium lights up like a pinball machine. There's all kinds of shit that happens when somebody hits a home run, depending on what stadium you're in, and it's just like a big pinball machine, And to watch a kid,
it's awesome.
To watch a kid's eyes light up over that, or a person that's never been to a game, and to see their eyes light up when that happens, and the enjoyment that people feel out of it. I get where it's at sometimes. You know what I mean?
I think I've asked this before, and I forgot if Miami has a MLS Major League Soccer team. If they do, dude.
We do, but it's not the favored one from what I understand in Florida.
Yeah, but just going to that, man, and watching these people run around that field.
To that point.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah, I went to a minor league game in Germany one time, and that same thing. It was like, you're right there on the field watching them guys kick that ball. It's like, that's some real deal stuff, man.
Well, minor league in Germany is like major.
Right. And you're able to stand right there. You're able to hang your hands right over their fence and stand there and watch them.
So interesting because the clock counts up.
Right.
not down. And
the only one officially keeping time is the referee. That's why they have extra time.
Clock. Yeah, they'll adjust the clock. Yeah, and extra time too.
They literally have.
And they have a lot of time.
Check this out, Tonk. They literally have junk time in soccer, like real junk time.
Yeah, and it's conforming to international standards. I'm pretty sure. Because when you watch a team,
common. Yeah, that's common
when you
with
watch
soccer.
a team, the home team isn't on the right side of like the scoreboard. They're on the left side. And I remember when I went to the first, I was watching the game. It was like one of the first times I actually watched a game. It was Seattle Sounders because they won the championship like a few years ago, and then they were in it again the next season. And I was looking at the TV, and I'm like, they're not on the right side. It's the home team. They're not on the right side. And I'm like, look, the clock is going up. I'm like, I wonder if it has to be like conforming to international standards to do that.
Possibly.
But it makes sense. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't. It's the biggest sport in the world, basically. Tennis might be second, but soccer is definitely, as far as men are concerned, the biggest sport from what I understand. I mean, one of the biggest, most powerful teams on the planet is what, Chelsea or Barcelona? Like the money behind that team, those teams, and what's his name? The soccer player starts with a C. He's a billionaire. He's been a billionaire, and he's the he's the highest paid
Christian something or other.
He's the highest paid athlete on the planet. So that's soccer money, and Moss, do you watch a lot of United States sports in Canada? Like, do you have because I know they have ESPN, because some of the cable I have has the ESPN Canada channels. And later at night,
I'm waiting for El Capitan to pop in right now and tell you the demographic numbers for our audience.
It's like you can tell.
You'd be surprised, man. Like in our audience numbers, our international numbers are greater than the United States.
Wow.
Yep.
So
in collective, they're greater than.
That's
so
between
Canada, Australia, Ireland, they equal more.
Man.
They equal more than we get in the U.S.
That's freaking awesome.
And Germany too, as well.
Germany's a big one.
That's
a lot
so.
Of them.
I mean, it's like That's
we have a big international audience.
That's crazy.
Somebody on the show earlier today was saying hello from Indonesia.
So
didn't you say Australia was a big one too?
Yeah, I already said that. Yep.
I know you paid for some, promotion and stuff like that, but it's like, well, I wonder what about us or this, this.
It's just honestly, it's the Dolphins fandom and them looking for content
and the time slot because we go late, so it's like middle of the day in a lot of these places when we're on.
It's just dope. It's dope. It's cool. We're worldwide.
Hey, you know what?
I'm not even bragging. I'm just like, I love it.
Hey, that makes me think of an irony. Americans are always like, I gotta, we all work during the day. When we want to call for tech support or something, these companies can't have 9 to 5 hours because, how else we can't take off work to call them, right? So we as Americans, we want to be able to call up so-and-so for tech support at like 9 o'clock at night, yet we get upset that there's a foreigner on the phone. It's like, well, everybody else works 9 to 5 here too. Did you expect that we had people in America answering the phone at 9 o'clock? No, we got somebody 12 hours ahead of us at 9 in the morning answering the phone. You know what I mean?
It's funny you mentioned that because I went to Tijuana at the beginning of 2020, and I added onto my phone to where you could have international calls. So when I was there, I had cell phone service. And when I was there, I was just driving around. I walked across the border. I went from San Diego, and I rented a car when I was in Mexico. And I just drove around, and I came across a big statue of Abraham Lincoln, and specifically he was like breaking chains. And when I called T-Mobile and when I called Metro after I got back to the United States to get that plan taken off because I didn't need it anymore, the lady I called, well, the person who answered, she was actually in Mexico. And this wasn't late at night, so they still have people in other countries answering the phone, even though it was normal hours.
Yeah,
and so I was
Mexico
talking
City
to her.
is huge.
I was talking to her, and I told her that I just went to Tijuana and I saw that statue. And she's like, yeah, well, that's because the reason they had Abraham Lincoln was because when he was president, he was friends with the president of Mexico. They used to write each other letters. And so the president of Mexico was real honored to know him, I guess, and then built that statue of him breaking the chains. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And I don't think I would have ever.
What's that? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't think I would have ever really known that because I wasn't going to search it. Why is there a statue of Abraham Lincoln in Mexico? I just didn't care to search it, but it just came up in conversation. And so it was just really interesting to learn that. And I thought it was just amazing. It was really cool. It was real tall.
Right. Well, he was really tall.
Yeah.
So what's that town in Mexico that resort town that's real famous?
Cancun.
I can't think of the name. Maybe Cancun, something like that. I think it starts with an M. It's not Mexico City, although there is a bunch of call centers for different companies in Mexico City.
Maui?
No, not Maui. No. It's in Mexico.
Oh,
Maui.
Mexico. Okay. I'm thinking of my dad went there to Mexico. It's where they make they take
something like that.
Where they make the tequila.
Yeah.
That rock star had his Cabo Wabo tequila. Cabo Wabo tequila. That's why I said Maui. It was a single syllable like that. I always get those.
It must be Mexico City. I'm thinking of. However, with the company that I used to work for, our internal tech support was a call center in Mexico City, and these guys were like brilliant, man. Like these are so like they were like totally like Americanized. Like they'd ask me about like, you know, that we'd be talking American football and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
you know, it was like it was.
Yeah, they actually accepted the dollar currency in Tijuana. I mean, I changed out and got what is pesos because I just wanted to have peso money, you know, like a $500 bill. And just for the fun of it, but they were taking I had dollars, some tens and fives. They were taking that.
Monterrey is the town I was thinking of. Monterrey. That's it's like a huge resort town, so it's really Americanized. But like everybody there, like the people at that call center that we talked to were like, yeah, they were like really, really well spoken English, although you could still hear an accent.
So was the lady that I called. Yeah, she was super. It probably pays well. You know, they probably get paid a little more to be able to get jobs like that.
Mm-hmm. Hey, matter of fact, I'm looking right now on the maps. There's a town there called Tecnologico. I wonder if that's where, like, right outside of Monterey. It's a suburb of Monterey. Tecnologico. That's probably where all the call centers are at.
It's like just a bunch of
That's
computer.
funny. Instituto Tecnológico
wind turbines and solar panels
Estudios
and a
Superiores.
bunch of computers and hard drives, and then like two people in a building.
Oh, it's a technical school. Instituto Tecnológico y de Estudios Superiores.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, here's one HSBC. Tecnologico. They got like HSBC's got a building there, or it's a bank for them.
So what else? What's next? Cost for cleats. I didn't even look one up yet. So Culler, you're gonna have to go first because I didn't look one up yet.
Well, I took the easy route because I really like my boy River Craycraft. I've been so impressed with him. And so I went ahead and found his. He's still listed on the 49ers cause for cleats list, but his cause for cleats is for mental health, in particular, student athlete mental health. And he helps an organization called Helsinki's Hope. I looked them up, and matter of fact, I'll go ahead and post a link here in the chat for their website. This is Helsinki Hope. And so they're a nonprofit organization that was formed to promote awareness and education of mental health and wellness for student athletes. The foundation's mission is to educate, advocate, and eliminate the stigma associated with mental illness while funding programs that provide student athletes with the tools and resources that support their mental health and wellness. Their vision, the Helsinki Hope Foundation, was founded in 2018 by Mark and Kim Helsinki to honor the life of their son Tyler. H3H helps colleges and universities save lives, eliminate stigma, and scale mental health wellness programs for student athletes. They do this by sharing Tyler's story connected with students and mental health resources. And as far as Tyler's story goes, they have a on their about page, they have actually a summary of Tyler Helsinki, 1996 to 2018. And just to summarize real quick, he was born at 10 pounds, 10 ounces, 24 inches long.
That sounds good, though.
Yeah. So ever since he could hold a ball, he had one in his hand, that type of guy. Born football.
Oh, okay.
You know, that kind of thing. He went to WSU. I want to say that's Wisconsin State or
there's a
Washington State. Yeah, I know. Yeah. It could be any of them.
There's a lot of those.
So, to what I understand, it doesn't really show what happened to him. Hold on a second. Okay. So at WSU, he was recruited during his junior year. Ty spent many hours on the phone talking to his head coach, Mike Leach. We all know Mike Leach. They really hit it off, and soon after Tyler committed to WSU over Cal and others, he was on his way. Many describe him as the happiest person in any room and on any field. He always had a smile on his face and kind words for his friends and teammates. Tyler threw his first touchdown at WSU as a redshirt sophomore in the Arizona game, a 71-yard bomb to River Craycraft. But perhaps Tyler will best be remembered for his play in the Boise State game. Ty was put into the game in the fourth quarter with less than 10 minutes to play, and WSU was down 31-10. 3 overtimes later, Tyler threw the game-winning touchdown to Jamal Morrow. WSU fans rushed the field, and WSU players hoisted Tyler on their shoulders. From that moment on, Ty became known as the comeback kid. Just a few months later, Tyler died by suicide on January 16, 2018. Tyler never showed any signs of depression or struggle. On the day he passed, he went to football practice at 7 a.m. but failed to show up for the team's afternoon weightlifting session.
Yeah. So it's like he was thinking about that. Like, it's like when he showed up at 7 a.m. that day.
He had to have already known.
Oh, yeah, dude. He just was probably trying to figure out when he was going to do it. He's usually, man, that's
So it says, although Tyler always believed in happy endings and that good was around every corner, Tyler simply couldn't endure the pain he must have been suffering. He passed away wearing that Garrig's Grit band you see in every picture. We are so lucky to have shared 21 awesome years with Tyler. Please remember Tyler with love and do 3 good things every day.
Wow.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's Tyler's story.
Thank you for sharing that.
Well, thank Helsinki Hope for sharing it to me. And River Craycraft.
I haven't chose anything on the Chicago Bears yet. So I went there, and Eddie Goldman His cause is criminal justice reform, which was one of the topics I made a speech about. And the program is Restore Justice Illinois. So prison reform is we need it so bad in this country. I asked someone, I forgot how long ago it was. I was like, well, can't you like get degrees and stuff in prison? They're like, no, it's not really that easy anymore. It's not that possible anymore. The opportunity isn't as frequent anymore to get educated in prison. And it's like, what are people supposed to do? You know, like, of course you could do a little bit of work. Sometimes they have places that make like couches or license plates or something like that. But if you can't get educated, how, you know, like if you can't come out better, then how are you supposed to come out better if you're losing more opportunity to do that? If I was going to be in prison for 10 years and I couldn't get educated and do stuff, what do you want me to do? So, you know, prison reform we need it so bad in this country. And just criminal justice reform on, you know, the things people go to prison for. Maybe they could just do a lot of community service, or, you know, something that makes them actually apply themselves. We need people to have to apply themselves differently when they're serving this time, regardless of what it is. And I'm not saying, you know, every crime, but, you know, depending on the crime, to make the person do something different in his life that will bring change and help him become educated, help him educate others, help others, not just sitting in prison, rotting away. If you imagine just being in prison and you can't get more educated, I mean, what are you supposed to do? Besides, like, there's gangs, there's all this stuff. You know, what do you want people to really do? This is a place called a correctional facility. If they can't get educated, if they can't get better, how is that a correctional facility? Yep. So, you know, Restore Justice Illinois, restorejusticeillinois.org. And that was one of the things I gave a speech about. And everybody can get behind that. Regardless of what your political stance is, everybody can agree that we need prison reform. We need criminal justice reform.
And that, I'm guessing that's an Illinois state organization, so they're referring to state prison reform.
Yeah.
On that note,
every state's going to be a little different.
Well, yeah. On that note, I wanted to point out that shout out to and I hate doing. I mean, look, I'm not one of those honks, right? But shout out to who was it? Was it the Kardashian girl that helped with former President Trump to get the First Step Act passed, which precisely addresses a lot of the things you just listed when it comes to getting people back into, you know, a working environment, a job, training, stuff like that, so that they're not a revolving door. There's more to come. I mean, they've got a long way to go, but that's precisely why it was called the First Step Act. Somebody had to take action, like you're saying, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And from what I understand, Miss Kardashian like helped, you know, foment that through the government to get it to as a bill to sign for President Trump, who gladly signed it. So shout out to both of them for actually taking action at the federal level to start to do something about that revolving door. It's not the pill that's going to cure everything, but somebody had to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. And let's recognize that somebody has. So, you know, at the federal level. So shout out to them too. You know, shout out to that organization in Illinois too.
I don't know how much has to do with, you know, prisons being, you know, privately owned.
There's still federal prisons for federal crimes. Right, you know what I mean?
Right. But I'm saying there's prisons that are privately owned. Like
most of them are.
I don't think that should be a thing. Okay. If I violate the law and I go to prison for 10 years, that should be a federal prison, not a privately owned prison.
Well, I mean, they're state and federally regulated.
Yeah, but a privately owned prison literally sounds like a place where people are going to be slaves or you know, like.
Well, that's actually how it used to be.
You really care, like if it's privately owned and it's not making me money.
I mean, well, don't forget, Tonk, we used to
to make money.
Remember,
off
we used to have chain gangs. Remember that? What you're spot on, man.
Well, it's like it privately owned prison. That sounds like something to make money off of. It's
right,
like, no,
right.
that's not what this should be. This should be
right. And what does that cause, Tonk? That causes a situation where people are creating crimes for people to commit to get sent to prison for. You know what I mean?
Exactly, man. This is what I mean. This is why we need reform, and it can happen. Stuff like this isn't that difficult. We just don't have enough people that can make these decisions.
And then on top of that, as we've seen throughout the decades, they targeted individual race or two. On top of that,
yeah, I mean, we can go into that all day long. But
I mean, I was just recognizing that it has happened. I mean, you know what I mean?
When I've heard from people say that it's not easy to get educated in prison anymore, it honestly pissed me off because, you know, we
although
need to be
some of the most educated people I've met in my life got educated in prison. Don't let it fool you. They do give you an initiative if you're willing to take the initiative.
Come out with a bachelor.
Some of them have done that.
You know,
some of them have done that, Tom.
Okay.
in the better run prison systems, let's face it, not every problem is 100%. Not every solution is 100%. So there are places in this country where prisons have reformed and done and implemented stuff. So there are plenty of people, you know, that have literally gotten bachelor degrees in prison. You know what I mean? And come out, or even stayed in prison with that degree and did things in prison as a trustee.
Well, there you go. Whatever. I mean, you're going to see less crime when people are more educated.
And those people, Tonk, are also likely to be the people. I know we see it in the movies. I get it, but there is something to be said about life imitating art. I'm sure some of those really brilliant people that are on life sentences that can't get out of it, that still educated themselves inside there and all that, and became a pillar of the prison community. Those people also help protect people that come in there from the abuses that we know happen in prison, from not only the other inmates, but the guards and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So that's also a positive to it.
I mean, I am so glad that I went and got educated and, you know, got a bachelor's degree. And, you know, I accumulated some debt, some financial debt.
There's people been in prison that got more paper than I do, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it really made a difference in my life, and so that's why I'm so for it, because I just know the difference it can make. And like I said, you know, we need to start seeing crimes being punished by community service, by making, you know, forcing people's hands to do something rather than just sit somewhere. A person sitting in a jail cell doing nothing doesn't help anything. It's just going to make them sit there and hate life and become angry and stuff. But if they have to do stuff, they have to use their mind, use their hands, and for something that's good, that helps the community, that helps, or, you know, that helps.
Right.
They're going to come out better. They're going to learn.
Yeah.
They're going to learn.
More Shawshank. More Shawshank. Less revolving door.
And it's you know, it's just so it's important. It really is, you know.
Or more Shawshank, less Green Mile.
It's really important. And you know, we just need more of it. So hopefully, I don't know how many states have programs like this, but it's called Restore Justice Illinois. And and just like with building codes and energy codes, we take off. You know, they use other standards of other states and in other programs to design.
Yeah, it spreads.
We can use those states that actually have those bachelor's degrees and stuff. Let's design our prison system to be like that. It's easy. I mean,
well, that's precisely what I was mentioning earlier, Tonk, is that some people we do know have come out of prison better people, and in those prison systems where that happened, we need to replicate that. You're right, and I think that could be something Illinois has done or whatever. You know, it's similar with other laws too. A lot of states will just copy the same law that another one just passed and say, yeah, it works for us too. You know. Yeah. So it becomes infectious, and that's what we need to do at the state level for state prison reform.
This is where I'd like,
it starts at the top. I mean, when you got the federal government starting the process for reform, for true reform, passing actual laws like the First Step Act, the states end up just kind of coming in line. They see it as a possible source of revenue in the future. So in other words, if they say they'll go back to the federal government and say, "Hey, we're following your example. Can we get a little sugar to help us do it?" And then that's when some money gets earmarked. You know what I mean? So there's reasons the whole earmark game plays in our favor sometimes, and that's what causes that. When you have a good law, those become infectious too. You know what I mean?
Jeff Ross, who's always doing the roasts, the comedian Jeff Ross, he's always the one doing on all the Comedy Central roasts. He has a couple specials where he goes to different places and roasts the people there. And they did one where he goes to a prison and he roasted the inmates and the policemen. But specifically, the prison that he went to, the warden, the system in the prison, it's designed to help people succeed getting out.
Right.
Everybody that goes to this prison has a release date, and they were the reason why Jeff Ross was allowed to come there. That was part of their it was like a reward for good behavior. So, I mean, hey.
So it sounds like they have a warden there that understands that is taking on their rehabilitation as a duty.
Exactly. Like, people feel respected, and that you're showing that you want to see them succeed. You want to see them become better. Hey, we'll have Jeff Ross come in here and make jokes about everybody. And it's freaking hilarious too. It's so funny. It's so funny, dude. It's freaking hilarious. And because he roasts the women too. So, dude, it's fucking hilarious. It's so funny.
So he got to roast the staff basically for the inmates.
Yeah, he roasted the inmates.
Oh, right. That's a treat. That had to be a treat for them, man.
It was good. And you can tell that it helped bring because I mean, you had guys in there that had, swastika tattoos.
Right.
And there's people that aren't Caucasian in the same room, but like, he was able to bring all those people together. And if you get along and you try to become better, that's your reward. I think everybody can get behind that.
Yeah, and the good news is
maybe come out a little less racist than when you went in.
Right, and the good news is only 2 people instead of 10 got shanked during the whole performance. You know what I mean?
And I remember it was an interview Tupac gave, and he said when he was in jail, or whatever the times that he was actually in jail, he said skinheads, like kind of like Nazi whites, skinheads, asked him for his autograph. And he's like, look, you can't be that racist if you're going to ask, if you're white and you ask me for your my autograph. Like, you can't be that racist to be.
Oh, they are, but it's a matter of, it's hard to explain that type of racism without going into a real deep conversation.
Put that down, if you could put that away, if you could push that away, and be better, then we can only ask for so much. But
well, I guess it's a matter of this: if you're not in a hot war and your enemy makes a good pot of tea, you can accept your enemy giving you a cup of tea. You know what I mean? That's really what it is.
Regardless of how much cyanide it's got in it. You know what I mean? Well, so that, I think, for my...
That's not to say that some of them haven't been legitimately rehabilitated and just haven't gone through the laser surgery yet to remove the tattoos. That could be the case, but
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
more.
I mean,
it's more that it's kind of like the guy. I forget his name. God, I wish I could think of his name off the top of my head. But he's this jazz musician that met in a bar that met one of the like third people in charge of like the nationwide KKK or whatever. And now this guy goes around playing jazz shows at KKK rallies. You know what I mean? And he like converts people. You know what I mean?
converse people to not be racist?
To get out, you know what I mean? And they know, they all, like, they pay him to come to their rallies to play jazz because they all like his music. You know what I mean? That's why they became the guy he met in the bar became
Sounds
friends.
like something I would do, us.
And he ended up the guy that he met ended up fostering a meeting between him and like the head guy of the KKK at the time. Right? And they became like friends, you know what I mean? Like, you know, peers, if you will, you know. And like it turned the one guy, because he liked the guy's music so much, he never realized that what it was he never, because the rock scene was coming on in the 60s and all that. And so there was enough white people playing music that this guy had no idea that a black man could play music like that. And he heard him in a bar, and it was like it changed his whole idea, the dynamics of how he perceived humans. You know what I mean?
Well,
and
maybe he just, you know.
And so now they invite him to KKK rallies, basically. You know, and he plays jazz music at KKK rallies and tries to convert people. He's a real famous guy, man. It's a big story. Like a couple people have done a big story on him, bro.
Interesting.
And you know, and it's all about what you're saying. It's like changing eyes by actually interacting with people and saying, no, we're all human. We all barbecue the same way, because that's what he notices at KKK rallies. He's like, ain't nothing different going on here at the logistical level. There ain't nothing different going on here than any other hoedown or hootenanny or you know, whatever that black folk would do in the South or whatever. You know what I mean? So the only difference is we're burning crosses. They're burning crosses and blah blah blah, yakety smackety, and they're racist. You know, so that's the part that
sure is a ding dang of a hoedown. This is a hootenanny. Hoedown. Hootenanny. Hoedown. Hootenanny.
I was so hoping I was like, damn, when's it coming? Man. When's it coming? But you know what I mean? Like, he's seeing it for what it is. Like, you can't change people's eyes and their mind with what they see unless you put yourself in front of them and show them who you are and what you are and what you're capable of as a human being. You know what I mean? And that's his whole, you know, mantra, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah. I am getting a little deep, I guess, but it's a good dude, you know?
Yeah, so
people, all I meant was those guys with the tattoos in the prison, they can put that down for a second for great comedy. You know what I mean? That's all I kind of meant to say.
Yeah. It's and it's, you know, it's not difficult either. We just need more people to unite us. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, that's been Dave Chappelle's whole point, his whole career, but he's taken a lot of heat for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He does a decent job of you know, kind of being neutral with making fun.
Oh, once he took his sabbatical in Africa and got his head right, he came back swinging. You know, like, hey, I don't know why I'm letting these people chill my speech. You know what I mean? Because what he's saying is like human. It's human. That's all it is. You know.
So look what Moss is saying. I think he knows who you're talking about.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm on my phone, so I can't really read. It's too small for me to read right now.
I don't know. I've never heard of that. I mean, I've never even heard of that. Does
Moss say his name?
No, he said I saw that documentary on CNN. After he eventually
David something, I think it's David something or other.
Tough white and keep their, I don't know. I mean, it's
just an interesting story, you know, like a different perspective, you know what I mean? And one that I think a lot of younger people, because this guy's an old timer. I mean, this all happened like when the meetup and all that was like late 60s or whatever, early 70s or whatnot. Maybe later, I don't know. Maybe it was the late 80s. I don't know. But point is, it's you know, older folk that on both sides that see things from a whole different perspective. And in other words, we've been fighting this war. You know, what I mean by fighting the war is the people that understand, you know, what true colorblind is. Those people have been fighting this war for decades. And then you get the new young people in on the situation who think they know how to fight that war differently or better. And so all the people that have been fighting that war get looped into being the enemy. And it's like, no, they just got their own way of fighting it. They've been already fighting it for a long time, you know. And the way that people want to fight things now can serve to disrupt that and reverse those gains. And that's why a lot of people are up in arms right now with each other, in my opinion. But we can get off that if you want.
Yeah. All right. So, Cappy, I forgot that we were going to talk about it. Cappy Tim put it last.
I was hoping Cap would have done the just to conclude it. I was hoping he was going to do the Will Ferrell. Everybody love everybody. That's all it freaking takes, man.
Will you? Yeah. So it's like these articles that are coming out randomly. Someone must be trying to tinker with the Dolphins because it was just last week. What was it last week? Talking about Lamar Jackson to the Dolphins. You know, that came out basically a week ago. And now this week, talking about $100 million to Sean Payton. Like, who is trying to stop the Dolphins right now? This would be probably the only time I'll ever agree with Capitan about conspiracy. And, well, I agree with him on some other things. But, like, will be one of them. Like, who's trying to hurt the Dolphins? Especially with what's his name? Tyreek Hill saying all that stuff about Tua in comparison to Patrick Mahomes. I mean, comparing Tua to Patrick Mahomes, that's a crazy comparison.
Hey, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody knows. Look, everybody knows that Tonk's eye test is pure. He doesn't get in the weeds, and everybody knows that. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I mean, just like, all right, you can
pure
compare
eye
them,
test.
but like, I don't know how much, like, I got to see it in person before I'm going to say he's, more accurate than Patrick Mahomes. But I mean, maybe he's just sticking up for his new quarterback. Like, what's his name? That's my quarterback, man, and I got no problem with that. But it's just like these articles are coming out about the Dolphins. Like, is somebody trying to hurt the Dolphins? Are they trying to diminish this new start that they got a new head coach? They got Tyreek Hill. They're working on their quarterback. Is someone trying to hold the Dolphins down by releasing this information? I mean, this can't be good for the Dolphins community to see this.
Right. Well, my whole thing with Tyreek is that, look, if you're gonna support pepperoni on your pizza, you don't need to tell people it tastes like sugar. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. There's other ways to describe pepperoni that makes it interesting to people without saying it's sweet and tasty.
That's just like standing in his kitchen messing with it.
I mean, let's be real. He could. I get the whole.
I don't know.
I get the whole supporting the quarterback thing.
Then let him do it.
That's where people are straw manning the argument. You know what I mean? It's not that anybody's arguing with. Look, I admire him for going that far in support of his quarterback. I just think that it didn't, like, you don't have to jeopardize your credibility to do it.
Yeah, I don't know what,
because it's not credibility in my eyes. Again, he's the authority. He's the NFL wide receiver. But there's other NFL wide receivers that are laughing at his ass right now.
But at the same time, just like we were talking about Jack Del Rio, when was this said? How was it said? When was the question asked? When did this topipic come up? Was it
was in a podcast?
Were they okay? So, like, sometimes you get involved in these conversations.
Sure.
And you just kind of you just kind of say these things. It's not like he's saying, "Hey, look, I've been playing with Tua. He's way more accurate than Patrick Mahomes ever was."
That's why I don't get all up in arms about it. I'm just pointing out that he didn't have to go that far. You know what I mean?
But it's just like, but these things are coming out, and the effect sports. It's the politics of sports. That's what I'm here to discuss. Mm-hmm. And it's just interesting that they are coming out. I forgot what I was going to say about
the national media. However,
Tyreek Hill.
They're not like you and I. They're not like, oh, well, just, it's no big deal. They're like laughing about it.
Why is this article now about $100 million to Sean Payton? like why is this like why didn't he take it? Why wouldn't Sean Payton take that? That's a lot of money, and it's not like it was a terrible team to inherit, and that's a lot of money to make. Maybe he doesn't want to. I mean, I think he just canceled this contract with Fox, I think, too. So maybe he's just wanting to retire.
Could I offer a possible explanation? Like,
what?
he could have a financial advisor telling him, look, take off a year. You've been coaching for a long time. Take a rest, because the way inflation is going in as far as these NFL teams goes and how much they got to spend, he doesn't need the $100 million right now. And so if he can wait a year and get $150 million, you see what I'm saying? He's not hurting for the $100 million right this second.
Well, and then it goes. Well, then look at it like this, just like Capitan said about John Gruden taking a huge contract. Why would they give him a huge contract?
Well, that's you know what? You just make it a great.
Without knowing that we can get rid of the guy if we don't want to keep him because he said, this person looks like this.
Right, and Gruden
11 years ago.
And Gruden's name brings up another interesting angle. It could get so like debaucherous with this head coach down there that, in other words, in Sean Payton's mind, things could go so haywire and things could be such crap down here after another failed coach that he could get the 10-year deal. He could get just finally forget about it. Give this guy the reins for 10 years and forget about it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, and it's not uncommon to see big contracts.
I mean, that's where the Raiders were at when Davis Jr. gave Gruden the contract. Out in Oakland is what I meant. That's what they were thinking. They were like so tired of the carousel that he's just like, yeah, John Gruden, 10 years. There you go. You know what I mean?
Then after what, 2 seasons?
Well,
we got this email. You get the hell out of here.
Well, I think that's one of those cases where we gave him the $10 million, but as El Capitan likes to always point out, these teams have strategies out of these contracts, and that was probably part of it.
Something like that behind it with the Dolphins. I don't know, but
no, I'm thinking maybe the Raiders. I'm thinking maybe the Raiders. I'm thinking maybe the Raiders are the ones that tipped off the NFL to his emails because they wanted to find a way to get out of that 10 years.
I'm thinking the Raiders gave him that 10 years, having the emails in their
pocket. Already
pocket.
knowing, exactly.
So
already having that as
you think you can do this to me?
Did they got like another bounty gate on Sean Payton? I don't know. I mean,
no. In Payton's case, I literally think it may just be a case of a financial decision. Nobody's in a hurry.
Yeah, it's
we're not hiring anybody else anytime soon.
But but I don't know. I think someone's playing some trickery here with the Dolphins. To first talk about Lamar, which is going to
they're definitely playing trickery.
That's going to impact Tua. And then to talk about the head coach, which is could impact the head coach. I mean, if I was the current head coach, I would feel a little bit about that.
Well, Tonk, just from the view afar, what do you think the two biggest vulnerabilities are with the Miami Dolphins, or the two biggest question marks, I should say?
Head coach and quarterback.
Right. So who are they going to attack to bring down our team? They see what we've built here. They see us coming, they say we're not going to attack the stuff that we can't beat. We're going to attack the stuff we can beat.
I mean, I don't always jump on bandwagons, controversies, and conspiracies. I mean, I do a little bit, but I usually, not so often. But
well, we heard a lot, dude. Let's face it, Tonk. We heard a lot of feelings when we went undefeated, bro. And those feelings are probably still hurt to this day, dude.
By the Patriots, because
by everybody, collectively. That's why the media hates us. That's why the Hurricanes, when the Hurricanes were racking up championships and everybody was shitting on them for being criminals and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like all of it, dude. The kids don't realize this ain't nothing new. Us old timers are just like, well, whatever, grin and bear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I was going to put it as a topic, but I guess I'm also talk about it. I mean, I didn't label it on here. But
you're good. You're good.
Bruce Arians, with Bruce Arians and Tom Brady. So they've been saying things about each other in this offseason, and now Arians said that if Brady would have stayed retired, he would have stayed a head coach. But then he says the reason why is I don't want to hand off a crappy team to Todd Bowles. So I don't know. I don't know if that comment helped his case, but it's I think he's in the context of this too. But I was like, damn, when I first saw that, I was like, damn. And like, I don't know. It looked like, Bruce Arians and Tom Brady weren't getting along kind of towards the end of that season, but I don't know. Is it creative tension? I'm not sure. I mean, Bruce
well,
Arians
at some point, that's one of those things that was always going to happen, Tom, because, it's really, really hard to have a guy like Bruce Arians. Let's face it, he is the type that wants to be in control of his team. And he in other words, he let the 1 year go because it's Brady, maybe even 2 years, but come on, I want the reins to my team back. If Brady's coming back, this is never going to work with him here again. One of them had to go.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like,
and that's what Arians means. If Brady would have never come back out of retirement, he'd still be the coach there. There would have never had to be that choice by management to make, because Brady probably feels the same thing. Like, he probably thinks Arians is too pushy because Arians wants control that he, as the star veteran, thinks he should have.
Well, Bruce Arians,
which he's not wrong. I mean, Brady's not wrong.
Yeah, but Bruce Arians is predominantly a quarterback coach, head coach, quarterback savvy.
True. Well, that's why he doesn't feel the need to have Brady as a player coach,
because it was very abrupt when he said he was announcing retirement.
Right. Because he didn't want to do it again. He didn't want to do the player coach again. Like, he didn't want to have the player coach as his quarterback.
Know. That's like saying you're not going to have LeBron James as not a player. You can't.
But that's happened though, Tom.
That good.
But hasn't that happened in the NBA?
It has. He got the one head coach fired when he was on the Cavs. He got the head coach fired.
I mean, hell, I don't know how our quarterback ain't even that good, and he got his head coach fired.
When you have talent to that degree and that level, I mean, Tom Brady, it's almost hard to say he's not the best ever, and just the talent level and the knowledge there and the hard work and everything. How can he not kind of be a coach at the same time? I think it's almost impossible for him to not be both. I think it's impossible. And so the head coach, they're going to bump heads. I mean, I don't know how much. It seemed like he did a relatively good job when he was in New England to not bump heads with Bill Belichick.
Well, that's what he was. But that's why he went to Tampa, because he's tired. He wanted a couple years in the league.
After he left,
without that,
you saw the things that they were saying about each other, and it's like, I don't honestly, as someone who watches sports, when you have that much talent on both sides, of the field, I guess you would. I don't know, of the bench. I don't know. I don't want to say the ball because they're on the same team, but when you have that degree of talent, it's hard to not be a coach at the same time. I mean, are you not going to listen to LeBron James when you're out there playing? You know what I mean? Like, are you not going to listen to what Tom Brady said? But then your coach said to do this. But I don't know. It's like, it looks like a challenging situation.
I think with them, it never got past vibe status, but the vibes were there. Like, I want to do this, but he wants to do this, and you know what I mean?
It's like I honestly don't see that like as long as Tom.
But as long as Brady keeps winning championships, he's right. You know what I mean?
I mean,
it's like the joust. Hey, it's like the joust, Tonk. God doesn't let the righteous man lose. You know what I mean?
I honestly, Tom Brady already signed a contract to be an announcer after he retires. I wish he would go into coaching. I don't know why.
But to see, be careful. I mean, I'm not trying to crap on your take or nothing. I'm just saying that a lot of people forget that not every player, as good as they might be, is even coach material, let alone wants to be a coach. You know what I mean? Like, look at Dan Marino. We're always like, for years, Dolphins fans have been like, why don't we just make Dan Marino the coach or this or that or the other? And it's like, whoever thought, why would anybody just assume Dan Marino would be a good coach? You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, maybe he could be. I guess the assumption is there because they know the game so well. But there's so much more to coaching than just knowing the game, man. As Mr. Flores found out, you know what I mean?
All right, so I don't know if it's Capitan trying to rush us out of here, but
probably.
Like,
oh, rapid color already? Wow.
Yeah, did you get were you able to get some topics?
Oh yeah, I got a couple. I just got like a couple short ones, just to update on people as to some things around the league. I was going to start with some NFL transactions that were posted on the 13th. A kicker from the Vikings. I got TJ Brunson, a linebacker from the Giants, was waived. We'll probably be looking at, I'll give a look at him going forward to see if there anything can be garnered from there. We got Darnell Daniels.
Like to go to the Dolphins?
Oh, you never know. I haven't done a deep dive on any of these players. I'm just mentioning them so people know who's actually available to look at the couple positions that we need to address. Linebacker we're like 90% there. Some people think we're good at linebacker. We've got 13 linebackers to choose a squad from, and they all seem to be fairly good studs. So we're kind of set there, but it's always not bad looking at it, who's available there. But you also got a tight end. We're good there. You got a cornerback we waived him. The Miami Dolphins waived cornerback Javaris Davis and also defensive end Deshaun Hall. But you also got Jordan Glasgow from the Colts was waived. He's a linebacker. Might want to give him a look. And then another tight end, another kicker, a DT from the Detroit Lions, John Pennicini. Defensive lineman Cullen Wick from the Colts was waived. Also DT McKinley Williams from the Colts. Those are the most recent releases of players that may or may not help the Dolphins in their mission going forward. So then we got latest on who. I don't really want to talk about him, but I do want to do my diligence and update.
Sean.
From Nick Selby over at SI, Deshaun Watson was asked why he should be believed over plaintiffs. Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson faced the media Tuesday after news emerged that the total count of lawsuits against him has gone to 26. Watson was asked numerous times about the allegations that he sexually harassed and assaulted massage therapists, and at one point was asked directly why he should be believed over his accusers. Deshaun was quoted as saying, "I understand that question, and I definitely respect it. I've been honest and I've been truthful about my stance. I never forced anyone. I never assaulted anyone." End quote.
26. I mean,
yeah. Watson is facing 24 active civil suits, each detailing graphic accounts of sexual harassment and sexual assault that occurred during massage therapy sessions. That should be alleged because that's what the jury is actually going to have to decide is whether those were harassment or assault. But that's okay, SI. Well, I'll do your job for you.
Well,
the accounts range from Watson allegedly refusing to cover his genitals to the quarterback touching a plaintiff with his wee-wee and trying to force her to perform oral sex on him.
Just the number getting to 26 now. It's like, how many more massage therapists are even left in Houston that he didn't?
Well, because what they're trying to get away with in civil court is something that they would be guilty of in criminal court. And the thing of it is that people ask about the preponderance of women and how that can't matter. And I say, look, if one or two women can go at this certain angle that nobody ever thought they could get before, and it looks like they can get it. Now there's a whole bunch of people that have already been treated that same way. They're going to say, well, you know what? I never said anything because I thought that angle was off the table. So, I mean, that doesn't mean the angle is valid. We'll let the courts decide. But my point is that the number of women should be completely irrelevant, because it's an infectious thing. It's like somebody saying, okay, I found a way to sue this ham sandwich. Well, you don't think that whether that was legit or not, or whether it gets found to be legit or not, don't you think there's going to be 100 other people that are going to try the same suit?
I don't know. It's just like it started at what, 10, and then it went to the 20s, and now it's almost 30.
Again. If the case started to look like that, like I was going to be able to win in the ham sandwich case, lots of people who eat lunch every day will start suing.
I know, but it's, I don't know. I don't know how follow the leader could be.
I'm just saying, pump the brakes, people. Let it play out. Let's find out what the court decides.
It's going to obviously play out. I'm just real interested to see.
Yeah, I was just bringing up
people. That's crazy.
Again, just doing my diligence, bringing up the article that says Deshaun says he never assaulted anyone. You know what I mean?
But at the same time, learning about this affidavit that could have been provided to him from Houston Texans staff, so information come out that they knew about it. Well, now it's not as much as a surprise, and it actually starts to make sense to me.
Right.
That other people in that organization knew what he was doing.
But that's the part I can't understand, is why nobody is excoriating the Texans for facilitating whatever they think to be a criminal act. You know what I mean?
If this is going on and you're allowing it, or this is going on and this
they
is
didn't just allow it. The rumor allegedly is that they provided the structure and the system for him to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this almost turns it like, of course, it's his fault for doing it. Let's just say hypothetically, it's his fault for doing it. But if you're allowing him to do it, that responsibility is now on you. If he's he's doing it.
Well,
he's
and that's the thing.
Yeah,
and
but now
you're
giving him.
But that's why it's ramping up now that the criminal stuff is over. That's why the civil stuff is ramping up even more, because now the Texans are trying to cover their tracks. They're like, oh, well, we got it out of criminal court. So now even if they do turn their eyes on us, we're okay with the criminal side of it. You know what I mean?
For that document to even exist, there's no way multiple people didn't know. If that document is true, if all this is true.
And then on top of all that, apparently you got the alleged offering from the Dolphins of like $100,000 to each one of these women to hush up,
man,
I mean, we got a long way to go on this, and the Dolphins ain't out of the woods, man. You know what I mean? Honestly, I really, like Cap always says, it's like, oh, this sucks.
I don't want to have to never.
all because we dared to look at a quarterback that might help our team. You know what I mean?
If the Dolphins would be willing to do something like that,
and for anybody to think that Flores has anything to do with this egg on our face, no, sorry.
No, I don't
this
think
is
so.
Right up Stephen Ross
know,
and Greer's
I don't know,
responsibility.
dude. It's this stuff comes out about people, and it's just like,
I'm just saying. I'm pretty sure they were on to Watson before Flores ever even got in the room. So, this is right. This culpability is right at Ross's door.
But
as far as if there was anything offered, if we offered them women anything to shut their mouths, then that's on Stephen Ross, man. I'm sorry. You're not going to blame Flores for that. And if that's the kind of atmosphere that was down in Miami, then who can blame Flores for anything, even if he was incompetent?
I mean, it's I know.
Who can blame? And wait a minute. On the same token, who can blame Tua? Let's see what the kid's got now, because all of that's in the rear view mirror. Okay, fine. You know what I mean? Because that could have affected the players too in that regard. I'm not going to deny that. So let's go to it. Let's do it. Let's get something done on the damn football field, man. God, this is getting winning cures all, right, Tonk?
Yeah, I mean, it's if one person knew, multiple people knew. There's no way that multiple people didn't. So I guess we'll just see how it turns out. So and I've expressed my feelings about this and had conversations. I just hope that it can all be resolved, and really hope that whoever is the victim here.
Hey, look at Ali's comment. This is hilarious. Culler Flores did have something to do with it. He didn't hire proven coaches so he could save money for Watson's legal fees.
I don't.
Touche, Ali.
It's over, Johnny. It's over.
I don't. Yeah.
Anyway, so real quick, so the Browns, Panthers. Go ahead, Tonk. Did you want to have one more thing to say on that topic, or
no?
No, go ahead. I didn't want to. I just wanted to move on to.
I just hope whoever is the victim here is going to
That's ultimately the goal. Justice for whoever the victim is. I mean, let's see who it is. I'm really upset. Like Cap is about us being involved in it in the first place. It's like
I know, man. I mean, I don't want to have to not root for the Dolphins anymore. Like I don't, but it's.
I mean, what they did as far as trying to get these women to sign NDAs, that ain't like the worst thing in the world, but it's going to be made out to be. You know what I mean? I mean, if we were trying to get this guy, and that's that was a business decision.
I don't know. I mean,
but that's my point. That's my point, though. That's my point, though. It was a matter of course for any business who's going after somebody they want like that. You know what I mean? So that's not the worst thing in the world. Yes, it is bad, but the media will turn it into like the most evil thing any organization has ever done. You know what I mean? And they'll totally let the Texans skirt for facilitating the whole thing. Allegedly.
Crazy.
Anyway, so the Browns and Panthers still discussing Baker Mayfield, but one obstacle remains, says Zach Coons at SI. And so he goes on, the future of the Browns quarterback, Baker Mayfield, remains hazy as the summer lingers on, but according to a report, a trade out of Cleveland isn't entirely out of the question. The Browns and the Panthers reportedly continue to engage in trade talks surrounding the former number one pick, according to Jonathan Jones of CBS Sports. However, the two teams remain far apart on one particular issue. How much of Mayfield's 2020 salary will each take on?
Yeah, so I mean, the Browns taking Deshaun Watson, why would they, they obviously want him to be the starter. I don't know why you would sign him with everything going on and him not be your starter.
Right. Well, the article goes on to say the teams have been interested in striking a deal. Cleveland's been hesitant to put Mayfield's full salary, which amounts to $18.86 million next season, after the Browns exercised the fifth-year option on his rookie contract, following reports that suggested Carolina was nearing a trade involving Mayfield around the NFL draft. ESPN's Jake Trotter reported that the two sides were never that close to completing a deal because neither party wanted to pay the majority of the nearly $19 million salary due to Mayfield this fall. That being said, the Panthers didn't fully cancel their plans to pursue the 27-year-old. According to Jones, Carolina is eager to get a deal done sooner rather than later to give Mayfield time to adjust to his new situation and teammates. However, if neither side budges on the salary, it's possible the stalemate could continue into the summer. That's so funny how, like, what's Sam Darnold think about all this? Not that I care, but that's hilarious. Anyway, any comment on that story, Tonk, before I move on?
He plays for North Carolina?
Carolina Panthers, yeah.
Oh, I thought he played for.
And here they're just openly talking about Baker Mayfield,
Yeah, I like Baker Mayfield.
I think they still got Sam Darnold.
For some reason, I thought he played for the Giants.
Oh no, that's Daniel Jones.
He used to play for the Jets, and now he plays for Carolina.
He
went to Carolina last year.
Right, he was drafted by the Jets. Right.
You're right. Okay. Now that makes sense.
So in other news from Joseph Salvador, also at SI, the Lions.
Shout outs to Moss and Ali. Hit that like button, that share button.
Oh yeah.
Y'all are in the comments. Y'all are been in the comments all night, so I don't know how much comments help with algorithm, but probably does.
It's been mostly Canadian talk, I think. So the Lions decided to kick tires on a veteran wide receiver, Devin Funchess, but in a slightly different way, according to Joseph Salvador over at SI. Wait a minute. I just switched my article by accident. Sorry, guys. So veteran wide receiver Devin Funchess will have a new team and a new position in 2022. The Lions announced they signed the veteran wide receiver, referenced him as a tight end. Funchess played tight end in high school and college before he transitioned to wideout in his last year at Michigan in 2014. He was drafted by the Panthers as a receiver and has played as a receiver ever since. He signed a one-year contract with the Colts in 2019 and hasn't appeared in an NFL game since he appeared in one game for them last year. He signed with the Packers in 20, but opted out of the season due to COVID. Funchess signed with the 49ers practice squad in November, but was cut in December. Perhaps the new city and position will bode well for Funchess as he looks to reestablish himself in the NFL, now as a tight end. So there you go. Good for him. What do you think about a wide receiver accepting a different position like that and trying to make a different comeback?
What position? Sorry, I was reading this other article.
So he went from wide receiver. Now he's going to be a tight end. And we got a tight end in Miami that wants to be a wide receiver.
That's probably a less challenging route to go than a tight end.
I mean, for a guy that played wide receiver,
block. You also got to block as a tight end.
True. You have to block as a wide receiver depending on your role. You know what I mean? But not quite as much yet. But if a guy like Gesicki is not required to block as a tight end, then why should Funchess?
It's still a receiver. I mean, it's just a different position, different responsibilities. So good luck to him.
And the thing about him is he's actually athletic enough to run the wide receiver tree, which you're right is a little more complex than the tight end tree. He can really get himself into good positions as a tight end to catch balls. You know what I mean? Like that's not. We need to kind of look at that. And that's not a bad move on their part.
Usually, tight ends are a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're stocky, they're taller. I mean, almost every team has some big, huge white guy as their tight end.
Right. And by the way, go ahead. Finish your thought on that topic real quick, because the next topic is actually, I didn't even realize it when I pulled it up. I just pulled it up. And then you and I had a conversation a minute ago about Sean Payton that I mentioned something about why he might be hesitating, taking a year off. But go ahead, finish your thought on Funchess there.
Yeah. It actually kind of reminded me of Percy Harvin.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just looking him up. I don't know if he's in the NFL still, and they were
showing he's been out a while.
That was my favorite football player.
I think he ended up. I thought he was one of the ones that retired for not wanting to get CTE eventually, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't he go with the wave of people that retired because they didn't want to deal with concussions?
Well, I know he dealt with other injuries too. But I was just looking up. I was trying to find.
Yeah, there was like a wave of players a couple years back that all retired because they didn't want to deal with.
Yeah, like CTE. Calvin Johnson.
Right.
And Andrew Luck.
And a few offensive linemen and a few linebackers went too.
There's a couple other players too, but Calvin Johnson and Andrew Luck were like the big ones.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I'm wondering if I was looking to see if he was on the Seahawks when I went to the game versus the Bucks, and I just didn't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
He's like one of my favorite football players like ever.
Oh, I bet.
So,
lizard, you freaking lizard, you freaking reptile. I know. I bet he's one of your favorite players.
He was so awesome, dude. He was just such a beast.
So, Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
So Moving on to the last story for Rapid Color. According to Albert Breer over at SI, NFL coaching salaries are set to explode soon.
Okay.
He says there's something he's been meaning to write for a while. A market correction could be and should be coming for NFL head coaches. I'll pull out the example of Sean Payton to provide context here. The Florida Sun Sentinel reported Monday that the ex-Saints coach was offered a 5-year, $100 million deal to take the Miami job earlier this year. I'm told the offer itself was actually $100 million over 4 years. And before that, in New Orleans, my understanding is Payton was on a 5-year deal worth $80 million when everything was added up. So he walked away from $16 million per year and could have gotten $25 million per year. Sounds like a lot, right? But is it? Take a look at NFL economics and you might be led in another direction here. Precisely what I was mentioning earlier. The league pulls down an estimated $18 billion per year. There are 15 quarterbacks making $25 million per year or more, and one making double that. Aaron Donald, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, Joey Bosa, Cooper Kupp, A.J. Brown, and Myles Garrett are there too. Roger Goodell makes $63.9 million per year. Still think Peyton's numbers are out of whack?
Well, Roger Goodell, that's double because I remember hearing about him in 2013 and he was making $30 million a year.
Right. So Breer goes on to write, still think Peyton's numbers are that out of whack? Ultimately, most NFL people would tell you that the quarterback is the most important person on the football side of the team, with the head coach running second. So I'd argue that the idea that a really good or elite head coach would be worth closer to what a starting quarterback is worth, with so many of head coaches still under $10 million per year, is pretty sensible when you consider how each team should slice up its pie of pro football's fortune. As I see it, the reckoning is coming. Peyton has leverage because he's already got money. That's precisely what I said. He's already got money and will have multiple suitors if and when he decides to return to the sideline. Sean McVay has leverage with the Rams because if he walks away, a TV network will likely give him a raise on what he's already making. And if you want to get a Ryan Day or a Lincoln Riley out of the college ranks down the line, you'll have to beat out the 8-figure annual numbers those guys are pulling down. Look at what Carolina did to lure Matt Rule from Baylor. Now, what I'm less sure on is how quickly the market correction comes. Owners have been determined in the past to keep the numbers manageable, and first-time head coaches are rarely in a position to say no, even if a deal is below market. But if a couple big names do deals or even just throw their weight around a little, it could happen soon. Excuse me. So what's the biggest difference between Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson, who chose not to miss veteran minicamp, and DK Metcalf and Terry McLaurin, who decided to hold out? Other than Murray and Jackson as former first rounders having made more money, which should give them more financial flexibility to hold out, those two are quarterbacks and the other two aren't. And that means a decision to hold out by Murray and Jackson affects everyone on the offense and absolutely would hurt the quality of work the team is able to get in this week. That's not to say Metcalf and McLaurin aren't important to their teams. They are, but it's a lot easier to make believe a receiver is out there for install than it is to simulate your starting quarterback running the show. So for now, I wouldn't take the actions of those four this week, meaning any one player is more serious about getting paid than the next guy. Speaking of Metcalf, it's at least interesting that per Seahawks coach Carroll, Geno Smith looks poised to get the first snap of training camp. The fact is the Seahawks in the league know who Smith is as a player. He's 31. This will be his 9th season, 4th in Seattle. It goes on to why Seattle would be willing to pay Carroll more, but yeah, so either case, yeah, that's just Albert Breer running on with different topics. But so it looks like some people are in agreement that Peyton really doesn't have to do anything. I mean, he doesn't need the money right now. There's no there's nothing weighing down on him saying, oh, if I don't take this deal right now, I'm never going to get that kind of deal. In fact, it looks like, you know, with what Breer and I think, that there'll be more money to be had. So, yeah, he had no reason to sign that $100 million from us whatsoever.
Well, they probably said, well, look, if you do sign it, we can get you fired because you.
Right. Exactly. Oh, then, yeah, good point. To come down to this situation, exactly, where you can't trust your general manager and your owner to turn on you from week to week. You know, same reason no quarterback wants to come here.
So,
you know, whether it's the coach or the management, whoever did it, somebody turned on Tua too.
Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm not gonna do what everyone thinks I'm gonna do. Flip out, man.
Oh, yes, I am. I'm just.
Have you ever seen him on stand-up?
Yeah,
he's like, yo, my eyes always look like this. Like he always looks like he's stuck. Did you ever see?
Remember that? Remember that movie though? Remember the bum that was sleeping on their couch?
Yeah.
You know who that is, right? That's Stephen Wright, bro.
I don't know who Stephen Wright is.
Another famous comedian, but like so dry that a lot of people haven't heard him. Dude, Stephen Wright comedy is like the driest you'll ever hear in your life.
Huh. Yeah, it does.
Like George Carlin.
Like,
George
what?
George Carlin is a wet Corona on a hot Sunday afternoon compared to Stephen Wright,
He's
man.
like, what month is it?
Right. Yeah, picture that guy right up off the couch doing a stand-up show. That's what you get. That's Stephen Wright. He was basically playing himself.
The dude who plays that character, I'm not gonna freak out. Mike something, right? Is it Mike?
Yeah.
Something? Did you ever see the show? He had like a sketch comedy show where he would like play these different characters.
Well, I thought he was wasn't he with the Dave Chappelle show?
Maybe like an episode, but I remember one episode of his show where he had a mullet and like he played a character who had a mullet and he had like kind of like these parachute pant looking things.
Uh-huh.
And he was always concerned with his front yard. And he was out in the street complaining one day because somebody did a peel out and left rubber streaks in the road. And he was all pissed off because it was in front of his house. And I've tried to find that show, but I just can't find it anywhere. It was so freaking hilarious, but I don't know. I can't find it anywhere. I've looked it up. It's just nowhere to be found. I can't even find information that it even existed. So I'm like, wonder if it was that same actor, but
I'm trying to look him up. I don't know what his name is though.
Sure you're not thinking of Titus?
No, it wasn't Titus. Because it was different characters.
There was a show that him and Dave Chappelle had like a pilot for. They did like 2.5 or 3 episodes or something. Never went nowhere. Jim Brewer is his name. I know him pretty well. I don't really know of any sketch comedy show that he did. You might be getting him confused with somebody else. But Jim Brewer is his name. Maybe. I don't know.
It was so freaking hilarious. I can't find it. BREUER.
Just look up Half-Baked and then click on his name on the list.
I'm pretty sure it's called the Jim Brewer Show.
Right. Just go to Half-Baked and just click on his name and it'll pull up his profile. I'm looking right now. It was hold on. It was let's see here. Family Guy. He did Joe Pesci's voice on Family Guy. That's funny. That's hilarious. I'll have to catch that episode. He was on. He was He did one episode of Larry the Cable Guy's Christmas Spectacular. He played the Easter Bunny. He was on 2 episodes of Chappelle's Show. He was the host of a TV series called Web Junk 20. Is that what it is, maybe?
I mean, I could have sworn it was just called the Jim Brewer Show.
He also did 57 episodes of Saturday Night Live, so there's that too.
Yeah, but that was with like Chris Rock and
Right. He did a show, 11 episode of a show called the Uptown Comedy Club, where he played various characters.
Maybe it was. Well, that says an unaired pilot. The Uptown
Yeah, that was back in '92.
It would have been after Saturday Night Live.
There was Motor City, was a 11 episode series that he did called Motor City.
Web Junk 20.
Benders.
No, because it was in like the 90s.
Yeah, I'm looking. If it was in the 90s, it could be that show, that Uptown Comedy Club. That was in '92.
Huh.
The only other thing I'm seeing, I'm looking at the self list. Maybe it's on the self list. I don't see anything.
It was freaking hilarious. I wonder who that was.
Here was TV series documentary Gotham Comedy Live at 3 episodes where he was the host.
Huh.
But that's all I can say.
Yeah, he always looks stoned. Like if I'm looking at his profile right now, it's IMBD profile. He just looks mad stoned in the freaking picture.
He did a TV special in 2009, Jim Brewer, Let's Clear the Air.
Well, Comedy Def Jam. I'm not sure. But if anyone can find that show, I'll pay you $10. And if you can find where I can watch that, like it was like a sketch comedy show where he did different characters. I remember.
Well, yeah, there's a few of them on the list that I've already mentioned that are just that, but then none of them go by his name. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean maybe it's one of those. I don't know. Maybe
it's probably that Uptown Comedy Club one in '92. That's probably the one you're thinking of. There was 11 episodes.
That, yeah. Uptown.
He's probably done plenty of Saturday Night Live. He used to write
50 to 53 episodes of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, that's probably it. You probably seen him in some sketches on Saturday Night Live.
Right.
Tom.
He played Joe Pesci.
No, I remember him.
Yeah, I remember he used to do Goat Boy. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, he did one episode where he was like he had some kind of condition and he was tied to like a playground set. And he kept trying to,
oh my god.
And he kept trying to like run away.
He had a condition where he was stuck to a playground set.
Well, like I don't want to.
That's hilarious. Like, how do you even come up with a concept like
that?
It's like,
but see,
that
tells me right there.
That tells me right there. Away.
Yeah, that tells me right there. He is personal friends with Stephen Wright. That is Stephen Wright dry right there, bro.
No, bro.
He's got a condition that's
the bottom of the barrel. They're throwing shit to the wall, and a funny actor that's good with like expressive comedy on camera will make that work.
Yeah, you know who used to be who's the godfather of that? The godfather of that. Nah, Dick Van Dyke, man.
Obviously.
Seriously.
I'm just saying Chris Farley did it like no other.
Oh, right. And then there's what's his name? Who played Kramer, you know.
Rest in peace.
Kramer had some conditions like that, man. Remember when he put the
it was good.
He had the Korean guys sleeping in the dresser?
Michael Reynolds?
Richards.
No.
Richards, yeah.
Sleeping in the dress. No, dude, my favorite episode is when they're going backwards, where like the wedding is in India, and like at the very end of the episode is the very beginning.
Right,
and, like, Jerry's moving in, and he meets Kramer, and he's like, "Oh yeah, well, what's mine is yours," and Kramer's like, "Really?"
That's what they did.
And like through the episode, he's like eating a lollipop, and it keeps getting bigger.
That's what they did. They did a Sliders episode like that, where they slid into a universe that time went backwards.
I want someone to help me find the episode of Jim Brewer where he was standing there. He had a mullet and like probably maybe a tank top on, but he had like these pants that had like a whole bunch of different shapes on them, and they were different colors. It was like squares and rectangles, and he was just pissed. He's always so concerned with his front yard. Classic, like Caucasian dude.
That's got to be a Saturday Night Live skit. Man.
Maybe it was.
Got to be.
But
speaking of shows that run backwards, the most brilliant that's been done was a movie with Carrie Ann Moss and I want to say it. I forget who the lead actor was.
Memento?
Memento, yeah, that was a brilliant movie, bro. Oh my god,
yeah,
was that good.
A friend of mine showed me that because the director of that movie was also the director of the Batman, the Dark Knight movies, and Inception, and the movie Tenet.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and that movie's crazy. Memento is just insane.
And to correct Moss, Jim Carrey was not. He may have been on Saturday Night Live.
No,
eventually,
he was on Mad
but
TV.
He was right. No, it was in Living Color. It was in Living Color.
In Living Color,
right? He was Fireman Bill on In Living Color.
Like, hey.
Yep.
Fire Marshal Bill.
Fire Marshal Bill.
Something.
That's right.
Let me tell you something. I know every one of them episodes.
Yeah, he'd pull his lip up. He would tuck his lip. He would tuck his upper lip up and his bottom lip down, so he'd have nothing but teeth.
Me and Captain, man.
Oh
Mad
man, we
TV
watched all
was
that.
on Saturday nights. Me and him were about it, dude.
Yeah, that shit was fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
that shit was hilarious.
We used to when we'd sleep at each other's houses on Saturday nights, dude.
Yeah,
Mad
we were watching all
I
that
got
shit.
you, Moss.
We'd always impersonate Stewie.
Yeah, I got it somewhere. It's not on here. I have one of those clips. It's not up here, of course.
Hey, I'm pretty sure that Nerf football just said something to me.
So many funny things, man.
How about the one where they tell you how Stewie's head became shaped like a football? He was jumping on the bed and smashed his head on the ceiling.
Yeah, I know.
Well, so
ready to
anyways,
close her up?
let's do the rundown. Let's do the rundown again.
Oh
Thanks,
yeah,
everyone.
so I was gonna say that's it for Rapid Color. That was all. My gas tank is exhausted.
As far as the nighttime shows, we're always going to start it off right. Tuesdays, TMI Tuesdays with your homie Tonk7. I stage my show kind of around the other show that's on PTI, ESPN PTI. I like to kind of be that kind of feeling with the show. Every Tuesday between 9 and 10 p.m. And then on Thursdays, we got my man Culler Commentary coming on 10 p.m. Thursdays. Open discussion kind of forum. He's always on there with some good topics. And then Late Night Exhale with my man Ali. He's the newest to join our Fans Tailgate series. He's on Saturday nights. Open discussion too. I've been on there a couple times with him. It's pretty cool. And then Capitan, he's always on here throughout the week. Sunday, Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays. Just keeping up with the news. He also likes to call a lot of games and stuff. So during football season, he's going to be doing a lot of stuff. If you like listening to his calling of the games, it's pretty cool. He knows a lot about football, so he's really good at that. And then we're fans with Fanatics. We're partners with Fanatics. The links are below for Fanatics and our clothes. I got one of the hats, pretty cool. I'm gonna order a new one soon. But we just got this flag, so I'm waiting to see who pulls up with that first. Probably going to be me. It matches everything I got behind me anyways, so it would look good right in the middle. And thanks for staying, keeping it real with us. Like, share, comment. We got a lot of comments tonight. And I try to bring a little bit different, on my shows anyways. Get people thinking, get people talking. Try to learn maybe a little bit too. I always want to bring that aspect of anything that I host, and just trying to learn myself and stay educated and be part of the good discussions here. I thank everybody for chiming in, for joining in and commenting and keeping it real with us. I really appreciate it. I find these topics just to bring to you guys and have good conversations. But yeah, so thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.